And the Gabors on an all-new biography next on A&E.
A&E. Escape the ordinary.
Biography is spending 5 nights with the other woman, Marilyn, Sophia, Liz, and Camilla. They're hellraisers and heartbreakers with a woman's touch. The Other Woman on Biography, all next week on A&E.
From A&E, this is Biography. For August 23rd, 2000, Biography with Harry Smith.
Movie stars, socialites, and above all, celebrities. The Gabor women were famous primarily for being famous and for changing husbands nearly as often as they changed outfits. The youngest Gabor once tried to explain the family tradition. Marriage is too interesting, said Eva, to be tried only once. The 3 sisters walked down the aisle a combined total of nearly 20 times, led by Jaja, currently married to husband number 9. Jaja is also known for the incident 10 years ago when she was thrown in jail for slapping a policeman. In her autobiography, she explains how she survived the first night behind bars. You are a Hungarian, Jaja told herself. The blood of Attila the Hun courses through your veins. Anyone who has known the Gabors can vouch for the comparison.
When you walked into a restaurant and you saw those 3 ladies there, they were like tabletop beauties. They were like flowers sitting there, and every head in the room would turn and look at the Gabor girls because they were all 3 beautiful.
One of the easiest way to wake up the palate and the various other senses is to add a little spice. And the Gabors were the spice. And suddenly, people felt like they're tasting certain dishes the first time in their lives.
I think I made them sweat.
What a lovely
perfume. I know you're
Clorox. I love that.
Clorox.
They're all very funny. Magda was not funny, but Eva and Jaja are always very funny. Witty, I guess, would be the best word for them. They had great wit.
What did you put it there for?
To keep the shirt from falling down.
They were the first real subjects of the tabloids because their lives were all over the world and terribly interesting. A lot of very famous people were enmeshed with them in a lot of their pranks.
In the aftermath of World War I, Budapest, Hungary remained a jewel-like city, a sparkling gem cut in half by the Blue Danube River. It was the center of Hungarian commerce, and among its most successful entrepreneurs was Francesca Kenda Tillemann, a stylish and formidable woman who owned a jewelry establishment called the Diamond House. Her beautiful daughter, Jolie, aspired to a career on the stage. She also wanted to be accepted into high society. But her family was considered nouveau riche. Jolie put her dreams aside and at the age of 17 married Vilmos Gabor, an elegant man who was in the jewelry business. He was 20 years her senior. Their first daughter, Magda, was born in 1917. Another daughter, Sari, was born 2 years later. She was nicknamed Jaja, after a famous Hungarian actress. Then Eva, the 3rd daughter, arrived. Another girl did little to help the Gabors' increasingly unhappy marriage.
Jolie, the mother, wanted to be an actress. Her husband wouldn't let her. He wanted her to give birth to sons. And with each girl arriving, he was furious.
Vilmos would always have a tempestuous relationship with his wife, and he could also be intimidating to his daughters.
The father was very, very much of a disciplinarian. So much so that sometimes when he'd come home, Eva told me she would hide under the piano and peek out at him. She was terrified of him.
Zsa, however, was not afraid of her father. She adored him. She was a tomboy and tried to take the place of the son her father longed for, and would always measure other men against him. Jolie Gabor now focused all of her frustrated ambition on her daughters. They would be stars and fit to marry kings. She raised them in a splendid villa with every privilege money could buy. The girls were trained in all the social graces, as well as music, dance, and sports. Jolie also set a standard for glamour and fashion that her daughters would spend the rest of their lives living up to. The pressure to win Mama Jolie's approval was intense. The household seemed driven by one force.
Total rivalry for Mama's love and affection. And Mama played them like a great violin. She knew exactly how to cause trouble between them.
But the Gabor sisters established their individuality in spite of trying to please their mother. Although Magda was the perfect student, her sisters were not as interested in academics. Eva was determined to become an actress. The always flirtatious Zsa had mostly romance on her mind.
Apparently, when she was born, and only when a male leaned over her cradle, she smiled. So apparently she started early.
At the age of 13, Zsa was shipped off to Lausanne, Switzerland to study at the exclusive Madame Sevilla's School for Young Ladies. There, she refined her command of languages and dance, but was otherwise miserable at school. When she returned to Budapest at the age of 15, her mother entered the budding beauty in the Miss Hungary contest. Zsa won the title, but it was taken away, she contends, because she had not reached the official age of 16. Others said that the contest's organizer discovered that Jolie had tried to bribe the judges.
And even though Zsa was by far the most beautiful of all the girls, he insisted that the second runner-up should be Miss Hungary.
Jolie softened the blow of this defeat by taking her daughter to Vienna for a vacation. There, the lovely teenaged Zsa was discovered and cast in an operetta called The Singing Dream. Zsa fell in love with show business and refused to return to school in Switzerland. When her parents objected, she decided her only option was marriage. For this role, Jolie had prepared her daughters well.
She really groomed them to be a wife for a wonderful man. And whoever got one of these girls got themselves a thoroughbred.
Zsa was still only 16 when she wooed and won the heart of the Turkish press attaché to Budapest, Burhan Belgi. He was almost 50, but the marriage gave Zsa what she wanted: a new home in an exotic land and high social position. Although Zsa has said that her marriage to Burhan Belgi was never consummated, she claimed that she'd had a clandestine affair with Turkey's ruler, Kemal Ataturk. Whatever the truth, Zsa was emerging as a woman of the world. By 1938, she would leave her husband and adopted country for good. But she would not be returning to the Hungary she had known as a child. The advent of World War II would change everything for the Gabors. On September 2nd, 1939, Hitler and his Nazi army invaded Poland. Magda Gabor, now married to a Polish count, joined the Hungarian resistance. She secured a high-priority pass to drive a Red Cross truck, risking her life to help prisoners of war escape Nazi camps in Hungary.
I can't come up with anything which would indicate how horrifyingly dangerous that must have been when she did it. It was, the odds of surviving was 1 to several million.
Magda was committed to staying in Hungary even as the war escalated. But in 1939, her youngest sister, Eva, became the first member of the family to leave the country. She went to London, where she married Eric Drimmer, a Swedish doctor. But she was more determined than ever to be an actress, and the couple moved to Los Angeles shortly after their wedding. Hollywood seemed a promised land of opportunity. It was the golden age of the movie business. Eva Gabor certainly had the requisite beauty to make it on the big screen, even if she had no credits. But the gates of the studios did not immediately swing open for her. She finally got a screen test when her dentist recommended her to an agent, and she won a $75 a week contract at Paramount. She used every skill she had learned as a child to convince producers and directors to cast her in good roles. Whatever the part required, whether it was dancing, athletic skill, or just looking good in any costume the studio threw her way, she was prepared to fill the bill. To improve her English, she constantly went to the movies. Her favorite actor was John Wayne.
And before long, she was sounding like John Wayne. I remember once she had said something to me once. She says, "I'm telling you once, and I'm telling you again," just like the Duke.
Though Eva's screen presence was luminous, the studio didn't quite know what to do with her. She was cast in small roles in B-movies like New York Town and Forced Landing. She moved on to 20th Century Fox, where she appeared in a handful of equally forgettable films such as Song of Surrender. On June 3rd, 1941, there was some good news for Eva. Her big sister Zsa Zsa had arrived in America. The reunion with family brought solace at a time when Eva's marriage was crumbling. Zsa Zsa was at her side when she was granted a divorce from Eric Drimmer in 1942. The sisters became roommates in Hollywood, but they were hardly living in the style to which they had become accustomed back in Hungary.
When Zsa Zsa came over, I mean, they had a little tiny apartment together, and when they would go out to dinner, like with a bigwig, they would sneak the food and put it in their purses and carry it home so they'd have something to eat the next day.
No matter how tough things were, they kept assuring their mother that they were living like movie stars. They also dressed the part when they appeared in public, an important lesson they'd learned from Jolie.
They were all very, 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 very picky about what they wore and what they looked like, and that did come from my grandmother.
The beautiful blondes from Budapest dated only the pick of Hollywood's most desirable and eligible bachelors.
They felt they were above this oasis in the desert out here, and that they were much prettier and smarter and better bred than the domestic variety of glamour girls.
Zsa Zsa was also a natural scene stealer. She was constantly written and talked about, even though she'd never been in a single film. She was the center of attention at fabled LA hotspots like Ciro's and Mocambo.
She was gorgeous. She had a buxom figure. She had an accent that couldn't be beat. And she was arrogant from the moment she arrived.
It wouldn't be long before Zsa Zsa would conquer more than just the Hollywood social scene. She caught the eye of one of the wealthiest men in the country. Soon, the Gabor name would be world famous.
You are watching The Gabors on Biography.
When Ben Crenshaw and Steve Elkington have a day off, they love to go for a drive. You can too, because now, in honor of the Buick Open, get $400 Buick Golf Gimme Cash on LeSabre and Century for a total of $1,900 cash back on the award-winning 2000 LeSabre and a total of $2,400 in cash and option package discounts on the Century 2000 Special Edition. Hurry, the $400 golf offer ends August 31st. Don't miss it. See your Buick dealer today.
As the moments of history define our progress, so values define our character. The humanity that binds us, the integrity of our people, financial strength to provide certainty no matter where we are headed. The values that make New York life the company you keep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Howie. What are you doing?
Counting.
Counting what?
All this cool stuff I got on my shopping spree at Radio Shack.
Shopping? You hate shopping.
Not when it's...
Oh,
Get $400 to use toward anything in the store when you sign up for or switch to fast, reliable